Okay, so good morning. Hi, Daphne. I'm going to make sure that I can actually be heard this time, so I got the microphone right next to my mouth. All right, so today just going to have a bit of fun, I guess. Starting off there with a song that I composed, oh, I don't know how many years ago that was. Probably about 10 years ago or something, I'm thinking. Maybe longer? Not quite sure. I had added electric guitar to that. Originally, I just had written for piano and some orchestration for that melody. Um, Very haunting melody, and it was during the time when I was writing a lot of scores and so thematic, film-oriented music, and I really like that particular piece. And um, a while back, I was looking to create a guitar album, and so I was using my scores, and I was just doubling the melody with my guitar and playing electric guitar the way that I play it, which is very expressive, and which doesn't sound like anybody else. It really doesn't. And so I never put that out though. But I have the music, a lot of other pieces that I've done. So I thought I'd share that because I thought it was fitting for today. Today, well, here in the States, today is the 31st of October, which is Halloween, which that is celebrated, you know, and people can think of that any way that they wish to think about it. But for me, when I was younger, I really enjoyed that time of year. It was fun, festive, you know. I didn't look at it as being ugly. I looked at it as being fun, and I still do. Okay, and I like film. I like stories. I like, you know. Um, so I thought I'd share that piece of music. I think it was fitting in regard to today. And I was gonna put together some more stuff, but it's all the time that I had so I can perhaps play it later on during this stream if anybody's interested. Well, I'll just play it anyhow. Today is about self-awareness. That's one of the things to be discussed, and um, there is a whole lot to be said about that. And I was getting revelation concerning that last night, and how everything is held together. Everything is held together through intention, but the intention is through the individuated collective awareness. Like I said, there's a whole lot to be said about that. So anyhow, I was going to do something else. I'm not quite sure what it was. Actually, is what I wanted to do is just play a lot of music today, but I didn't set this up to do that. I just put together that one piece. Just not enough time, or I forget or something. It's usually the case. Usually the case, I end up forgetting. Yeah, so I did take the time this morning to make a thumbnail for this video, at least fabricate one based on somebody else's work. Apologies to those people that I steal their stuff and change it in order to be able to use it, but they can use my stuff if they want. I don't care. Any rate, yeah, self-awareness. Self-awareness has everything to do with the worlds that you create. And when you become more and more self-aware, first, I guess probably a good place to start would be within dreamscape, right? Within dream state or dreamscape, because this outer world that we're in, this construct, is really, I've been saying this for years, it's a dream state. It's a dreamscape, is what it is. And how you dream depends on how you experience what you experience, and that includes this so-called waking dream that we're having right here, which is really not. It's just more aware. And the idea is to become more aware in these other states that we are in while being within this particular aspect of this realm, this harmonic universe, this world as it would be within this vessel. Because there is really no such thing as an OBE. It's just different states of awareness wherever you're at, and sometimes it can be more you can have more awareness within certain states than others. And the idea, again, is to, when you go into dreamscape number 2, we'll just use that as a reference point and just name it dreamscape 2. When the body goes into stasis here, and there's different ways to experience awareness. And sometimes, like within dreamscape, right, it seems kind of foggy. Seems like when you're talking to somebody, it's you don't have full awareness. And sometimes I even found myself saying stupid things. It's like, what am I, like, regressed? you know, but in that state, the idea is to become aware and have more awareness. But in a lot of cases, we have diminished awareness. And this, again, has to do with the worlds that we create. The awareness that we grow in is what holds things together. It's what establishes things here. When we believe something, belief is in the process. Depends on how you define what belief is, I guess. But from the way that I process it, I look at belief and knowing as two different things, two different stages. So within belief, you're in that state of awareness, belief, okay? Not knowing, but belief. And so you can stay in this state of belief for a very long time, And it's like wishing for something or wanting something or looking for something to transpire with you. But because you're in that state of awareness, that's where you're at. You stay. But you're hoping for things to change. But no, you're in a state of hoping. It doesn't change. So wherever your awareness is, the state of the awareness, that's what you're creating, And this is not new. This is ancient old. You go back and, scriptural text. You look at even the Bible. It's a lot of it there that's being communicated. That's what's going on. You see that within the epistles, within the New Testament. You see it everywhere. Okay, this is after a certain state of becoming aware within these outer worlds, and that information is communicated. It's communicated a little bit different, but it's the same thing. And it's creating your own worlds based on where you're at in your awareness. So what I would encourage and looking to encourage myself is, as I mentioned in my book, I refer to it, what you do either being an act or a fact. It's seeing it already done, seeing it already finished. And that really is something that you have to practice. You have to practice that. It's like, as an example, going in a different state of awareness when the body goes into stasis or sleep. During the day, when you're in this waking state, this awareness, is to practice and prepare in regard to what reality is. And reality is what you make it. And the reason why everything in this world is the way that it is because it's a collective awareness. We maintain it because we think this is the way it's supposed to be. And so, therefore, our intention and our awareness is locked into this. So, when a shift happens, the shift is not happening from something else. It's happening within the collective that's resident within that world. So, a certain amount of people, let's say the majority of them, go into more of a deeper awareness. That's when things start to shift. It shifts individually, but it begins to shift also collectively. And a lot of people are seeing things now that are in the in-between state where they're just still observing things, which is fine. But they're seeing things that are phenomenon that they can't understand. It's because there has been a shift occurring. It's been gradual, but it's been growing. And again, to emphasize, we create the worlds based on what we believe to be reality. So self-awareness is really where it all starts at. So there is no limitation. Everything's infinite. Infinite. So, yeah. Um, yeah, I think it's going to be dealing with this more and more for anything for my own sake, because all this stuff needs to be reminded for myself, and I guess it can't hurt to be able to share that with other people in the process. So it's echoing. Yeah, well, give me a sec. Echoing. Dang it. I'll go turn down the monitor. I can't believe that that was being picked up on this microphone, but the way these microphones are, the very back of it right here will pick up the sound back here. But it was so low, and I could hear myself, but it was very faint, but you guys could pick it up. That's just ridiculous. And I've experienced that before. I'm saying I've recorded this and I've done it where it's been low like that, but I could hear that echo too. It's like, what the how is it picking up that echo? It's so low. It's like just crazy that it does that. So I have to turn it all the way off. So no echo anymore, right? Of course, no more echo because there's nothing there to pick up. But it was extremely low, so it's all the way off now. All right, so yeah. Yeah, I have it. I try to have it up a little tad bit, like if I'm running other stuff, running other like music or voiceover of something, so I can hear where it ends at properly, so I can make the transition. That's the reason why I like it a little bit, but I just turned it all the way off. It shouldn't be because there is nothing here to cause an echo. Oh, now it's gone, right? Ah, sorry about that. I was in such a rush today, and I had like 2 minutes before I came on, and I just got done doing the thumbnail, and um, I mean, I started early enough. It just eats up a lot of time when you're doing stuff on the computer, and so it's gone now. I know that because I'm running through my voice processor here, and it'll default to going to a setting that I have on it for vocals. A lot of times I don't even use it, and I shut it off, but I forgot to shut it off when I turned things on. Apologies. I could probably turn it back up again so I can at least hear a little bit of myself. I'm sure it shouldn't have picked any of that up. I'm going to go back and turn it up. Yeah, of course it's gone. You want to hear it again? Hello, testing one, two, three. There's the echo for you. Testing one, two, three. Now the echo's gone. That's what I'm saying. I forgot. I got busy. I get preoccupied and then I forget little things like that, little details. Normally I don't, but it happens. And there is a delay on my through the OBS system, so that's where I thought the echo was coming from because that's what happens when I have the monitor up a little bit. I can hear an echo because there's a latency that's occurring. I forgot all about this thing. Am I talking about the split? No, I'm talking about self awareness. and collective awareness. This is a consciousness construct. So there's not something coming along. I'm not big on this 3-eye atlas or anything on the outside doing anything. I just, no, no. Only thing that I'm interested in is anything that has its boots on the ground here. So that's the population here and who and whatever lives here. Nothing that doesn't. Anything that doesn't should just be observational. I never really cared for certain things that I would run across. As an example, here's one of the things I did not care for, and that is this. The Law of One. Those 5 books. I read 2 paragraphs of the first book. Number 1, I didn't like it because it was channeling to begin with. I didn't like what was going on with that person who was being used for that. And I didn't like the word harvest that was being used. The word harvest, I didn't like that. Like we're some possession that needs to be harvested. I didn't like the context. Some things, it was okay, but it just reminded me of something that I didn't really want to participate in. It reminded me of things that I came out of, you know. And interestingly enough, George Kasavasla said the same thing, that I heard him say something about it. So apparently I'm not the only one. So I didn't really buy into all of that because it's about something else controlling me. That's not that's not what goes on here. It's free will. That's the reason why you have all kinds of crazy shit going on all the time. And outside of it, there isn't no right or wrong. So I'm not interested in anybody harvesting anything, and I'm not interested in anything coming along and manipulating this. We're big boys and big girls. We can make our own way, and we need to make our own way in this regard. So self-awareness. What takes place with our own self-awareness, this is a consciousness construct. So that's where it begins and ends. And self-awareness determines the worlds that we create. And someone can't come in and say, here, have some more self-awareness. It has to be a choice that you make, and you're here because you chose to be here. So whatever you go through and whatever you come to in conclusion as far as what you want to do, that's what's important. Everything else it shouldn't be interfering. You know, everybody's looking for something outside of themselves. Here comes our soul family, our soul's family coming, this and this and that and that and this. I don't care. None of my business. You have to stand in the gravity of your own sovereignty. So the worlds that you create, what's important is you being aware that you're doing it and know what is necessary of you in order to hold your awareness and grow within your awareness. So a split, it's all about conscious intention. It's a consciousness construct. It's not something happening to us. You know, I'm fine with staying here this the way things are until I'm not. I no longer search for the things that I used to search for. I'm content. But one thing I am continuing to move forward in is the growing of awareness. And looking to pursue that. And finding that within the most simplest but sometimes yet the most profound things within myself. And a lot of times it's elusive, you know, just like awareness within a dream state can be very kind of shadowy. You know, sometimes if I think that it's like I'm drunk or something because I'm not holding enough awareness, which is fine. As long as what's important is being aware that what it is that you're lacking awareness and energy to be able to hold that. And that's fine. As long as you come to know that, then you can work towards it, you know, or just being aware that you need to be that sense of awareness is diminished within certain states. I'll repeat myself in regard to what I said earlier. You know, within this vessel here, the way we are, this state of awareness fluctuates. But the idea is to at least within this state to be able to move into these other states with the same awareness. Clear. Being able to make a decision, be able to discern, all these things related. We're talking, specifically, I'm talking about these outer worlds. Because when we start going into the inner worlds, things change. Oscillation increases, things happen faster, you know, which that's not necessarily another subject, but it starts going down a pretty deep area in regard to mechanics. But it's still the construct. The inner worlds, the outer worlds, still the construct. Wherever there's form, and form is something that we create with our intention. Another reason why if you go out of this particular realm, or at least the vessel that you're in, you can change the way that you look if you can hold that awareness. You know, I was talking to a group some years back, and the person who was leading that group was referring to how that we look as being an imprint of our individuation. I'm using different words than that individual used, but that's basically what he was referring to. And I said, well, that's not true. You can change your shape if you have the ability to do it. I said, it's just holding that intention. So I can look like something completely different. I can look like a dog if I want to, you know, if you understand what I'm saying. But I don't want to digress or at least lose the train of thought what's going on here as far as what I've been saying. Self-awareness. What we have going on here is collective awareness. This is the reason why the world is the way it is. And as awareness grows, so does the world begin to change, meaning the construct design of what it is and what we perceive as being reality starts to shift. So in that context, yeah, shift. It's just an adjective to refer to, in this case, something that's happening in regard to this consciousness construct. The operating system is consciousness, and that is infinite. Yeah, well, you know, it's like anything here. There's a whole lot of sensationalism. You know, I'm reading what you had just said, Sylvana. Um, and people are looking for stuff. You know, I mean, it can be kind of fun. It's like, ooh, exciting, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that, I guess. You know, I don't see anything wrong with it, anyhow. But I'm not interested in following that. You know, the encouragement here is like for anybody towards me is like follow yourself, Randy. It's like yeah, and then I can turn around and say the same thing, which I do. You know, follow you. You know, and I think this goes back. It reminds me of on my website I had written I don't know, a blog, whatever you call these things these days. There was different names for it before the computer showed up, but I had written on this subject. It's the title of it is "Boots on the Ground," and it has to do with standing in the gravity of your own sovereignty and working together with one another here co-creatively before you even consider the possibility of working with any beings that would be outside of this realm. I mean, respecting one another and respecting self and one another is how we'll get things done. And you know, So it's instead of like a lot of people have been doing, reaching out to other things and other beings when they should just be working with people here. It's not easy. I can attest to that. It's been really hard to try to get anybody to work with one another and just be available and for leadership to kind of set the pace for certain things and lead by example and encourage those that, I mean, being in a position of leadership, it's, on the, uh, it's a huge responsibility. When I was in ministry, the idea of being a pastor, it's like, you got responsible for all these people. That's not, it's not a vocation, That's, you got to walk the walk, you got to talk the talk, and you have to give a lot of yourself in the process. You really do, And then you have to give time for yourself to be able to recharge. But it's a big responsibility, A lot of people want to get into the thing that's going on with the spiritual movement and be a talking head within it, So look at me, I want to do that because it seems like it's a good. But the deeper you go into it, you don't want to be in that position. I don't. I never did when I was in ministry. It's like, I don't want to do that. But I ended up doing those things just automatically because it was my nature, but I didn't want to. I knew what it meant, you know? I knew what that meant. I'm taking on the responsibility. I'm a spiritual head, and there to counsel and, you know, like the example given within the biblical record of being a shepherd and sheep. And there's a whole lot that goes on with that I just really didn't want to be part of. It turns into this, co-dependency of those who are just kind of sitting in the pew, and that sitting in the pew thing and just kind of listening and not really doing much is a lot of what happens still today here. And, one of the examples would be the online thing where people are just going to and fro and running around and listening to stuff. And there's, they're pew sitting, and then a small handful of people are actually doing the work and working together and making themselves available. And it becomes quite burdensome. So first things first, personal self-awareness, realizing that you're creating your worlds and start understanding that more and more. And that's where I'm at with it, understanding it more and more, how I'm creating my worlds and what it energetically, frequency wise, what am I holding? Am I holding anticipation for something, or am I holding uh, the conclusion of it? And then walking in the conclusion. And that, if understand what I mean, I see it as already finished, and therefore I can walk into it as and release it because it's done. I'm not waiting for it. And that's something you have to remind yourself of. You have to renew your mind to it, as I put it several times. That's just my training, the renewing of the mind. That's training when I was in ministry. And a lot's happened since then, you know. So I definitely need to be reminded all the time of those things, but I don't need to dwell on it, just to be reminded so I can reset myself and let go and see it as done. And it's a process because it's incremental, you know, but it begins from that point. Well, it's becoming aware. It's the awareness that's we're talking about. Um, it's not so, I guess you could say it's work, but I don't really think of it as work. It's just reminding myself in contemplation and then holding that space of awareness, and then I can walk in it. And I have to renew my mind to it each day. I have to come back to that place or remind myself of it so that I can realign myself again. Yeah, you can use whatever adjective work, but I rather not see it as work. Just reminding myself. I mean, it's all, I don't know, it's not necessarily all semantics or anything like that, but you know what I mean. It's just having awareness and reminding you of those things. And if it's something that you need to write down and then have it, writing it down is good, but only if you look at it. I, I I put a lot of the stuff that I have, my awareness, into songs, and but they don't really do me much good if I don't either listen to the song or if they haven't been recorded, I'm not going to listen to it, of course, because it's not recorded to be able to listen to it. But if I don't play them, then I'm not really renewing my mind through that record, you know? So, in one way, however, is most fitting to be able to remind yourself and try to condense it down into a simple thought. So it's kind of just triggers your awareness to that so that you can align yourself to it. So it's just adjustments. It's sort of like walking a path, right? And not going too far off to the left or too far off the right. You're just staying on the path. So you're just monitoring yourself and kind of just keeping your footing. So, yeah, that reminder of awareness, being aware, reminding yourself, which is simply just renewing your mind to that awareness. Yeah, I have. But I pretty much, oh, there's Brian. Hey, brother. Yeah. But I still say I prefer not to use that word. I'm changing every day. Okay. I really am. I have been for a long time. Sometimes it goes back, sometimes I go forward, but I am changing every day. And you may have noticed I say a lot of things. Sometimes I don't say them the same way. In the same sentence, I may say the same thing, but I'll say it differently. Not because I'm trying to say it differently, it's that I just end up saying it differently. It's just the way my thoughts are. And so I'm not saying that you should not use the word work. I'm just saying I don't. I try not to because I try to redefine myself. And yes, people use words according to what they define. Yes, I know that. Um, well, you think I'm like singling you out and picking on you or something? Sheesh. You like to fight, don't you? It's like I'm not doing that. You don't have to get on the defensive. Well, you can do what you want. It's not for me to say, but I just clarifying myself. I change the way I think about certain things, and I try to make that clear. I mean, I'm up here. Been a public voice here for quite a long time, so a lot of the stuff that I've been doing, I've been working out on camera because it's been done publicly. So I'm sure a lot of people don't like me and like to pick apart some of the things I say, but that's none of my business. Yeah, I throw my gloves in the ring. I throw my gloves in the ring, Brian. I just walk out of the ring. Regardless if I'm causing the issue or if somebody else is causing. I just don't want to. Once I realize enough to where I don't want to participate with that, I'll just walk away. That's no reflection on anybody. It's just where I'm at. I've been that way for a while. long while. It's not necessarily what I say, it's what I do, just like anybody else. No, yeah. Well, words are words. It's the meaning behind it, and a lot of times, we have to get to know one another here in order to know what we mean, you know? Um, and as far as relationships goes, that's something that has to be renewed too. That's an ongoing thing, right? Because people do change and or we forget, right? Or forget certain things one another may have said to one another. Um, yeah, so I mean, I guess the word work is just as good as any, you know. But I just been working at things. I've been struggling so long, so I think of that in terms of the word work, like you said. People define it differently. Well, I have that association with it because I've done it so long, meaning it's been I've seen it as the difficulties that's been. I just associate that word work with it. So anything that I'm looking to advance myself with or improve on or whatever, I I try I prefer not for myself. I prefer not to use the word work. It's sort of like if I wrote a piece of music and it's pretty complicated, well, I have to rehearse it, have to practice it, have to be able to develop it, and if there's singing involved, there's a whole lot of work, But I rather not use that word because then it becomes work, and a lot of what I'm doing can get lost in the way that I have connected to that word. You know, words are, I mean, it's all frequency oriented, right? Everything. Language, we can see that. The origin of language, the spoken language, anyhow. It's all part of the structural system that we have here, as far as the mechanics of the design. So, sound and light, frequency, vibration, right? So, it how it connects to that particular state of awareness or consciousness can make or break things, if you know what I mean. So, in my process, I am not the same as I was the day before. I'm different today than I was yesterday. Um, and that fluctuates and has. Just like sometimes I go a little bit forward, and then sometimes I go a little, and sometimes it's like one step forward, two steps back, but I am like doing that. And then I have to remind myself, and again, a lot of what I'll say, at least I try to preface it by saying I'm always speaking to myself first. So I'm not, it looks like I'm talking to people, but in truth is I am, but I'm first addressing it to me. When it comes out of me, I'm feeling it, you know, and it's renewing me to that. So I'm taking it to heart, and depending on what it is, I guess, right? But in matters such as this, yeah. The book of Job. Who's this Job guy? The book of Job. His job was suffering. And of course, you have that particular being which had nothing to do with it was this all those are roles being played, which is really interesting. Everything is role played. Everything's role played here in that manifest reality. So it's so funny. Actually, it is kind of funny. When you see it from that perspective, you start looking at everything and you see it as a role, and it's like, hmm, interesting. Yeah. So job job's role was this thing in connection to the so-called creator of all things, which it wasn't. Yeah. So yeah. Sometimes we're living somebody else's, you know, intention, and I can look at some of the, well, even contemporary stories, but written um, older stories, and I can see how a lot of beings are living out something, some other being's intention, as if it was the right thing for them to do, like it was a divine order of things. And I guess on some level it could have been, but not in the way that it was being depicted or the way that it was being experienced. I could see through that. It's pretty obvious. And job, that would be job would be one of them. Job. Yeah, that's why it's important when just as a footnote, when you're speaking publicly, it helps to define what you mean because when I did that for the longest time, I would always run into people defining things based on what they thought I was saying. So it's important to get in a habit if you're doing public address. Something I have to, again, another thing to be reminded of is to define yourself, least somebody defines you for themselves. So what you mean, you need to be clear about. And I try to, so sometimes it'll get kind of confusing because I'll say the same thing several different times. That's one of the reasons why I do it. But that's just out of habit. But I definitely need to remind myself I need to define what I mean. I try, but I need to be more aware of that so that I'm not misunderstood. Like I said, I run into that quite a bit when I was involved with ministry or being able to speak in front of crowds and stuff like that. It became an issue to be able to make sure you define yourself. Okay. I guess what one of the things I was going to do was when I was well, go back to the anchoring of the monad since. All right, so let me see here. Boom. All right, so remember I was referring to the torus field as the example. If anybody remembers, um, last I guess it was Wednesday was talking about this, and I didn't have a picture of it, but if you go into the PDFs within the course, our multidimensional anatomy, I don't know which one this is, but obviously you've probably seen this graphic. So you can see there to the right, you're looking at consciousness bands 1 through 7 there. And so that associates or relates to what you see within the torus field because that's in the body. And the torus field is the electromagnetic field that's created through the body. That's what's happening in the body. It's a um, it's amplified or uh, diminished according to the heartbeat. Okay, so but as far as movement goes, you know, this is one of the better ways to look at it in regard to movement, because nothing's static. I was just drawing this here because it functions as a circuit. Okay. And of course, this extends. Let me see if I can get this. Moving stuff, it always does this. I always have to. So you can see that moves down, up, right? And so this here in the middle, how the body there connects to the torus field. Yeah, that's what that's representing far as just circulatory movement. All right, yeah. So anyhow, just wanted to mention that because I didn't have the graphic at the time, so I put it in here. So we can cover this again when I go back over this if you want. Um, a lot of everything's in the moment, so I have to go back and, well, I don't have to go back and listen. I know the context for it, but I say things differently each time. But yeah. So when you're, because this here, right, this circuit, this is in reference to the anchoring of the monad, but what we have going on is, what is important to understand is all of this, okay, in relationship to that, right? Um, but you can focus on one area, which it's all really connected. It's all interconnected. It's all part of the same circuit, but through our intention, we can focus on that. Again, it's a consciousness construct, so it's about our intention and our awareness. And the more clear that is, the better off that we are. Oh, dear, oh my. Anybody want to share anything? Brian's making jokes about Job. Well, this is a good time to tell jokes. Have anybody got any jokes they want to tell? Make some funny? Do some funny? Funny, funny, funny. Let's see what this is. Anchoring ceremony of the Torah. Oh, sorry about that. I can't hear anything, and I forgot that had some music going on in the background. Actually, that's the music for the ceremony of the Torah. I played it earlier, but I I keep thinking that I'm going to do that, and something else happens and I forget. But if I remind myself enough, I'll eventually get around to it. Oh, you made a spiral table? 144 elements? Well, that's cool, Brian. Why don't you send me a picture of it? Like, text me a picture of it or something. That would be cool. I'd like to see what you're doing there. Hi, Daphne. Hi, Daphne. Cool, man. It's starting to get a little cooler here. Daphne, you asked me about if it was, and it was hot yesterday, but overnight it just kind of like dropped 10 degrees. So today's low is going to be 50 degrees, which is considerable considering uh, that was like 100 degrees inside the house yesterday. So that's the reason why I'm wearing the sock hat and the full, sleeve shirt. So a bit starting to get a bit chilly. No, Daphne, you don't get to see it. Just me. No spiral table for you. Hey, Dorian. Yeah. Can you upload a picture in the chat? It's windy there? That's kind of unusual, right? Or is it? I don't remember. It's been a while since I lived back that way. I'm still sleepy. I was up at 4 o'clock this morning. Couldn't really go back to sleep. So I tried, and now I'm getting tired. Cats usually wake me up pretty early. Either either Gilly's banging on my window or Dorian's yelling at me. And he did it twice this morning. Early, he um he was in the house, and then I let him out early in the morning, and then he wanted to eat something, so I had to go out there and feed him. And then again, like a couple hours later or something, he's wanting to come back in or at least eat again, and so I just picked him up and took him inside because I had some food in here and some water. It's like, get it yourself. Yeah, I was talking to my brother yesterday, and he has um, a bunch of pit bulls, bunch of pit bull, bunch of pit bulls, and we were just talking about animals, and I was talking about animal psychology and how the owners determine how the animal is going to behave because the animal follows the it'll follow the human, you know. And but I was talking about how cats are the difference because my brother never had cats, so I was talking to him about the difference between the way that they behave, and it's been interesting because like Dorian, he showed up 5 years ago, and he showed up. Cats will show up when you need something, you know, especially emotionally and that type of thing, and they'll take on a lot of the energy that you have that maybe you may be struggling with in certain instances like that. And he's been helpful to me. He's pretty close. We're pretty close, me and Dorian. Okay, I'm gonna play the song, piece of music, because today is the 31st here in the States, and this is kind of festive to today. Like I had said earlier, um, Halloween was always just a enjoyable time, dressing up and just make believe, just fantasy type of thing. I don't like horror films or any of that garbage. I just sorry for calling it garbage, but it is garbage to me. So I guess I'm not sorry. But I really like, especially animation. I grew up loving animation. That's something that I wanted to pursue, and I did a bit of it just on my own, and so um, a lot of my cartoon style comes from that. My authentic cartoon style comes from um, that type of thing when I was younger, in regard to animation and stuff related to like monsters, and it was all good fun to me. You know, I love the full moon and the clouds going past the full moon. I just imagine, just that I was a wolf man, stuff like that. So I like the dramatic, and one of the things I liked a great deal is like some of the older Boris Karloff films it was all black and white, and the scores, the music that was in it was just so, I don't know, just it was part of what I was supposed to be doing, because which I haven't done, but it was definitely it pulled on me. I like the imagination and drama and theatrics of all that stuff. Love film, and was supposed to be a director and producer and screenwriter, and which I've done a lot of that. I mean, screenwriting, but not for money. I got screenplays that I've archived. Anyhow, that's a long way of saying what you're going to hear here is reflective of my approach to it. So I was putting together an album, um, guitar album, actually, is what I was looking to do. And I was using my scores for it, my musical scores, and this is one of them. This is called the Music Box Waltz, or the Music Box Spirit Waltz. Okay, so think that ended. I got preoccupied here. My brother. And thank you, Brian. I got that. I'll check. I'll try to check it out better later. My brother wants me to call him again. So, what time we got going here? It's been on here for an hour 9 minutes. Okay. I really didn't have very much plans here today. Um, so I think I just might go ahead and just jump off. Nobody else is showing up, so I got a lot of work to do around here too, and I got to call my brother concerning the National Polish Alliance insurance policy that he took out on our deceased father. That still seems to be having issues with all that. So, did I need to mention that? I probably shouldn't have said anything about that, but anyhow, I just have a lot of things I need to get done. I was trimming the tree, and yeah, Brian, where did you pull that information from? Just curious. Okay. I think that chart was something that you can find or something similar to that. He through what was already within the manuals, the earlier manuals. I think probably prior to two, 2007. I think it was 2006 because I remember seeing that chart like that. I've seen a lot of things that I forgot about, but that's cool, man. That's cool. Um, yeah, well, like I said, I've seen the chart before. Like I said, the manual predates 2008, which is around 2007, 2006. I've seen. I don't know the manual. I can't remember what manual it was, but it's one of the workshop manuals. Um, of course, that's where Jerry gets all his stuff from too. So, um, can I have another? I'm going to hang out for a little bit longer, if long as you folks want to. But I need to make a phone call, so I need to play. I'm going to play a song or something, because I'm not going to be on the phone very long. I just want to find out what he's wanting to say real quick. How much? I'm going to do a. I don't think I have a graphic for this, so it's just a blank screen. Maybe there's Om Eti Bran. I'm going to go ahead and just play that live, some of the live music, so I'll just play that. And by the way, as far as Om Eti Bran, what I'm doing is I sing it in English and then I sing it in Anahazi. So that's what you're hearing in the English is what I'm singing in Anahazi. It's the same words. Okay. So someone asked me that before. They go, "What's that? What are you saying there?" Well, I'm saying this. It's the same thing, and it's the English that you hear within the song. So anyhow, I'll do this and come back. Let me put myself on mute. I now choose to reawaken, I now choose life everlasting, I now choose eternal love and this divine splendor, I now choose. Mati Brown, Habre Adun, Mati Brown, Yased Wane Brown, Mati Brown, Ebezalu Tie Ave. I now choose to reawaken, I now choose life everlasting, I now choose eternal love and this divine splendor, I now choose. Mati Brown, Habre Adun, Mati Brown, Yasid Wane Brown, Mati Brown, Evezalu Die Ave. I now choose to reawaken, I now choose life everlasting, I now choose eternal love and its divine splendor, I now choose. I now choose. I now choose. I now choose. Okay, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and step off here. All right, folks. I guess I'll see you next Wednesday or something. All right.